It's very limited what people want in OSRS, so it's much easier to achieve that. Whereas WoW, there's maybe been many iterations and they've tried different versions of it, or maybe they did it poorly in the past. WoW, instead of embracing those things or enshrining those things for people who still enjoy that part, I think instead they go, well, let's do WoW Classic again, or okay, let's do new servers for Classic, let's do Hardcore, let's do BC, let's do Wrath, let's do Kata, let's do MOP Classic, let's do Season of Discovery. Let's make every expansion to where even if you're at a point where you enjoy, you have to start over in some way, shape, or form. What is up, adventurers, and welcome to a brand new ShawnSetGo video. Today we're going to be talking about WoW in its current state and also why content creators are leaving. Now, I know a lot of people who play WoW will jump at the chance to be like, we never wanted content creators anyways, but you're here anyways, so let's talk about it a little bit. So where this all stemmed from initially, I believe, is a video that I saw on YouTube by the creator TheoryWise, who says that so many World of Warcraft content creators such as Guzu, Savix, Mad Season, and even Soda Poppin' have taken their first steps into old school RuneScape. And if you go a little bit further, some content creators have already jumped into other content. And I think that's it's kind of been the cycle, I guess. You know, you jump into other content and then maybe you come back to WoW, but maybe you come back to WoW a little bit less than previously. But this post right here by Just Item says fresh content coming over from RuneScape. Many of you have probably already seen the new wave of WoW content that showed up on YouTube recently, mostly inspired from RuneScape community, yet adjusted to suit World of Warcraft. It's so nice to see some of the new stuff being done in WoW that some of those got really popular on YouTube. Especially that we've all gotten so far in the news, just news or streaming, reacting to stuff from others. Somebody recently pointed this out very precisely, that WoW content is dead. All in all, would love to hear your thoughts about this new wave. Do you enjoy or even watch it? I personally would love to see Blizzard finally investing in a system like Guild Wars 2 or ESO, for example, where you have things like map completion and stuff that put directly into the client so you can see your progress. That would also live up to the open world content bit, or liven up the open world content bit a bit, I think. I mean, they already took Mount transport system from Guild Wars 2 and made it better with skywriting, so there's definitely a lot of potential in there. So I think this is saying one of two things. So I think a lot of people are, one, seeing WoW content because I think there is, one, the midnight expansion coming along, but also two, that when you come just before a new expansion or a new announcement comes, there's bound to be a number of people who are like, hey, like, I'm just gonna dip out until the next interesting WoW wave comes along. So that I'm seeing a lot. But additionally, in videos like this one, which by the way, I plan on reacting to this live on stream. In this, we see a lot of mentionings of the big issues with WoW and why people consider it to be dying, or maybe content creators not, or I guess falling off in a bit, is because of the seasonal content. The seasonal content constantly dragging away from the WoW player base, where you're always having to contribute to the next season, the next thing, the goalpost constantly moving. And instead of it being, let's reach to the end goal, which is the expansion goal, like the big end raid boss, it's always, well, what's the next mythic dungeon pool? What's the next raid for this one? You know, like it's really just, it's constant changing and a constant goalpost and a constant resetting as well. You're forced to re-level characters, kind of restart over from the beginning. And there's almost a community behind restarting as well. Whereas RuneScape has a system of, I believe, leagues instead, and there's much more, I guess, positive attachment to those leagues. And then additionally, there's a lot more, I wouldn't say FOMO items, but items that can only be achieved by a certain group and are still admired and admonished. Whereas World of Warcraft has kind of lost those big sale items, like you would get for getting, say, getting your arena rating and getting your mounts, you know, like those very specific items that are listed to very few people. Usually, for the most part, it's just an RNG chance. It's not really an achievement thing. Like 3K rating, as much as it is an achievement, I don't want to diminish that at all. I think that for the most part, it's pretty much achievable by anyone. And it's not a huge time investment. A lot of things in RuneScape, as grindy as it could possibly be, there very much are items still that the community embraces around and actually admires. So let's see if there's anything that the community kind of holds over WoW, because this has been a battle for longer than we can remember. Like RuneScape and WoW, as different as you can imagine them being, have always kind of been in this kind of competition of which one's kind of better. They're both long standing, so I mean, there's a valid argument there. So let's look at this one. This one's more of a meme slash complaint. This one says WoW 2020, and then looking at the pandas in the Draenei, and then RuneScape 2002, and like how they hold the weapons. It says RuneScape 1, WoW 0. So it says they've got idle animations for game holding weapons properly. They just won't give them to us. You can go through a few of them using the Narcissus add-on. Most people think Blizz just doesn't care to make better animations, but the truth is they already are in the game. There are tons of animations better than what player characters have, but they just won't let us have them for no good reason. I just want my massive two-handed sword to float behind me anime style like the Nathrius. I mean, that's reasonable. And honestly, there is truth to what they're saying. I think that there is examples where it's like, oh, they're holding their weapon core. Oh, this looks good on them, but we just don't have that version. So it does exist. And just maybe it's just laziness, like they don't want to backtrack these things, I guess. A giant RuneScape bludgeon is from 2015 though, and these two weapons on the left are from 2020. They can't make it right. Not a single one of those weapons existed in 2002, maybe the staff. I mean, I think it's still like the holding positions, right? Is about the same? Yeah, like, I mean, I imagine they look the same. I think this still was kind of the vibe. I don't know about this type of hold. It's been a while since I played RuneScape. Let's see, it says, I don't know about Blizzard set up their design teams, but their environmental design team needs to take over their equipment design team. I just really wanted a hunter theme set instead of the heavy plate looking things, maybe even a cloth set that's not so flat and ill-fitting. By the way, this is going to be my controversial opinion of the video. We like to have at least one of these per video, but I hate to say it, but the season 3 tier sets look awful across the board. None of them look good. All of them look bad. I just, they don't look good at all. I'm kind of sitting here. I mean, if you haven't seen it, just to give you an example, they all just look the same. None of them look good. The color variants, I could see some of the appeal to some of the like the styles, but they all just look pokey, and it covers you entirely. And like, what are we doing? We look like NPCs at this point. We all look the same. It's samey. It's very samey, and I don't get any positive vibes from this. This looks goofy. I would be upset if I played this particular class, but I mean, I guess I have nowhere to talk because I don't think Warrior looks good whatsoever either. So I mean, like, there's, to me, this when I see something like this, I don't go, well, the graphics are obviously better. I go, is the design team going in a great direction? And I think people would jump on me and say like, well, the style that you like, Sean, is red and black and looks similar to like dark Berserk comics style. Like, that's all you like. Shut up. Okay. So the next one says RuneScape is how WoW would look if the art team was as competent as the game design team. I wish WoW developers were more like old school RuneScape. The old school RuneScape team love their job. They go above and beyond for the community. Developers will visit OSRS subreddit, play along with the memes, as well as seriously listen to suggestions. It's not uncommon to see suggestions from Reddit pop up in the game update poll. The very fact that polls can decide the game decisions at all is so amazing and blows my mind. And this kind of goes to speak for the constant argument against Blizzard, which is they put out a poll just to incorrectly listen to the poll, or they only listen to the positive bias, or they only listen to the top 1% of players instead of the whole community. RuneScape's quest system is the best in any MMO. Prove me wrong. I don't know about that. I mean, the old quest systems can be a bit brutal. Like, it was a bit tough, but I mean, they were rewarding because it was so hard to complete a quest, and each quest had significance because a lot of it had a lot of things behind it that were significant in the game. Whereas in WoW, there are a dime a dozen because they could be produced by AI. It doesn't matter at this point really anymore. Quests are kind of like meh. You know, at most we get stuff like the most recent quest line where we got the like the Hallowfall, like a bit of that into there, as well as some of the old groups like the Defias. You know, like we get some of that sprinkled into there, but not as like a general rule. But then again, there are so many more quests in WoW. Yeah, except old school RuneScape has a good game design team and philosophy, pulling players for changes in the game. Don't see Blizzard doing that anytime soon. Maybe it's a size thing too, you know, maybe like it's comparison of numbers, but to be honest, the player numbers in old school RuneScape is doing insanely well. So I mean, it's a bit rough. So I play old school RuneScape. I know the name of every single piece of end game armor. So there's the majority of player base. I bet you couldn't even name a single piece of gear on your WoW character. Yeah, because nowadays you look at a set and then you just go, okay, all right, that's it. Like that set, the thing, like the tier set. Or if you're really min-maxing, like maybe you have a mixture of like raid pieces and Mythic Plus, I guess. But for the most part, you really just have like those overpowered pieces. Those ones get named like Sackbird. So like, I mean, like there really isn't a bunch. I've been saying this for years. World of Warcraft's maps and zone look amazing, but I'm tired of the grinding rep for 5 months for Pathfinder every expansion, falling into a manner of unmapped crevices, unsure of whether or not the line of map is a river, a cliff, mountain, or a hill. This would be less annoying if your character could just buy flying with gold once they reach max level, you know, like they did before expansions before. The real tragedy is I find myself appreciating the art of older expansions just as much as I was when I was seeing them for the first time. I spent the 2 years in Northrend when it was current, and it still feels breathtaking to run around when leveling alts and flying through on max level characters. Anytime I'm on Draenor, I'm trying to get out of there as soon as possible to avoid the flood of memories of annoying, contrived BS I went through. Even as much as I love Legion, the map and zone are still put a bittersweet taste in my mouth. And the thing is, RuneScape just unlocked, like the big thing right now is sailing, and did a bunch of islands. People love them. So it's like, so I wonder, this puts a lot of like, I think, fear in people's minds, because when we have old school zones in WoW that still hold up as far as people enjoying and appreciating them, and then you start to get into those newer and newer zones, and it's just like, these are just everything in between where I'm going and where I'm at is just an obstacle. It's just something to traverse or fly over, not really to appreciate. But simultaneously, you have areas like Hallowfall. Like, people were absolutely vibing when they came out with that zone, because it changes periodically. And then you had a lot of people who were saying that Dornegal was actually beautiful as well. So like, I mean, there's a lot of, I guess, small little hints in there. I just think that old school RuneScape kind of stuck with that classic design, whereas WoW, once again, has many iterations. I want to give WoW some benefit of the doubt in that it's like, yes, old school RuneScape still has a lot of interesting nostalgia in there. But I think that's mainly because there's a lot less iterations that they've done just universally across the board as well. What game is more popular, World of Warcraft or RuneScape? I saw this post about 7 million active users going into War Within expansion, and posted in my OSRS Discord chat. Assuming they also like World of Warcraft, turns out they don't, and we started comparing games. They found some random metric that said RuneScape has 10x on WoW. From my experience playing both games 50-50 from the past 7 years, and from the metrics I saw online, it looks like WoW is 3x on RuneScape at the moment, from Twitch views to active users and more. I played Dragonflight mid-expansion and the game was still very active. Lots of both returning players, new and returning players coming in. Everyone talks and replies. Been playing RuneScape past couple months, and the game seems to be very slow, not meeting many new or returning players. Nobody really talks in a smaller community. Which is it? Even discounting bots and multi-boxers, I think WoW still has millions of players over RuneScape. WoW has been more popular than RuneScape for its entire life cycle. It's not even remotely close. That is not to say that RuneScape isn't a good game, but let's be real, WoW is the genre definer. There is a reason not every single MMO that's come out since 2004 has been labeled the WoW killer by people trying to drum up hype. It's because it's the Goliath and every other game is David. You can't just spew a bunch of BS and pretend it's real. Neither game has a million users playing right now on Steam. There's 5x people playing OSRS playing WoW versus WoW, like right now. Go look. What? Yeah, he's right. Sorry to go grave digging in the Reddit post history, but this guy is correct. Blizzard has a terrible habit of not accurately or consistently reporting its numbers. To the same end, Jagex loves to overinflate its community size. However, independent groups have genuinely gathered what stats there are to be had. There is evidence that suggests that at any given time that OSRS game has outclassed WoW in community size and support, potentially even since its inception. Somehow, despite both of these games' ages, there's even enough Reddit chatter that you fanboys on either sides of the arguments spewing Google's results on this matter. I mean, sources, trust me, bro, but I mean, I would love to see the different, like the actual true numbers. I mean, if we could ever actually see them. I think the truth is, if we're talking about true numbers, I think that WoW is going to beat OSRS. However, I think that efficiency of those numbers is more meaningful in terms of community as well as player base. When your active player base are advocating for its progress, not into like a swirl of doom, but into positive progress that only improves the game. Whereas with WoW, there's a lot of noise, a lot of apathy, as well as a lot of conflicting communities within WoW, which cause a lot of pull in separate directions, like almost directions that are antithetical to one another as well. And because of that, I think that RuneScape can probably preach that they have a stronger community and a stronger player base because they're more unified. However, I think that being said, when you have a unified player base that's all kind of on the same page of what they want and what they enjoy, I think that there's not a lot that like a lot of waves that are going to be caused when everyone's kind of having this massive groupthink of what they want. I think that it's very limited what people want in OSRS, so it's much easier to achieve that. Whereas WoW, there's maybe been many iterations and they've tried different versions of it, or maybe they did it poorly in the past, and so not trying to do those things again, this doesn't really work. So there's a lot of like built up and pent up things that make those things making updates harder, I guess ultimately is the biggest thing. The last one here says, from OSRS to Azeroth, my first 2 weeks as a rep pally and one button helper. I'm a complete WoW newbie coming from the years of old school RuneScape. Picked up WoW during a 50% off sale, decided to dive in. 2 weeks in, I finished Dragonflight Story, and now I'm level 75 in War Within. Gotta say, I'm impressed by how much fun I'm having. I haven't touched raids or group content yet, but I'm stoked to explore the older content and finishing the War Within. Keep things immersive. I set some ground rules, no cosmetic transmogs, only using mounts I earn or get free, and no buying WoW tokens or gold. So as a total noob, what should I dive into after the War Within? Any tips for a Red Paladin? Or things I should learn before jumping into group content? Excited to hear your thoughts. What do you mean? One button helper has been here for years already. Oh, never mind. That's just my rotation. If you want to do normal heroic dungeons or looking for a raid, the one button helper rotation is perfectly fine. All you have to do is follow the tank around and basically mesh whatever you're doing. So speaking of this, it sounds very positive. I think that there's a lot of people that the one button rotation appeals to, because it's like you don't have to necessarily worry about all of the, I guess, the weight that comes with learning rotations and the issues that come with that. I would say, to me, this is any player, like any new player, before they realize how much there is, I guess, like how much tedium there is. While there's not necessarily tedium in the leveling experience, there's not necessarily tedium in jumping into endgame content. There's not necessarily tedium into really getting to any endpoint. But the amount and then the sheer number after that time, it becomes overwhelming. And the thing is, RuneScape is no like saint in this argument, because in reality, RuneScape is full of tedium. Like a lot of it is very grindy. A lot of it is like, for a matter of fact, it's very much like just tedious. Now, is it rewarding? Sure. But it's like, it's very much stayed in the same way it was previously for a reason, because some people like that. And I think that WoW, instead of embracing those things or enshrining those things for people who still enjoy that part, I think instead they go, well, let's do WoW Classic again. Or, okay, let's do new servers for Classic. Let's do Hardcore. Let's do BC. Let's do Wrath. Let's do Kata. Let's do Mop Classic. Let's do Season of Discovery. Let's make every expansion to where even if you're at a point where you enjoy, you have to start over in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's where the most, like, if I were to say any reason why content creators are leaving, it's most likely because of that. It's because the constant resetting and moving of goalposts of WoW has made a lot of people go, oh, so I can't hold on to that for very long. Like, everything is always fleeting. Whereas OSRS, it's kind of a screenshot into one moment. And if you like that moment, cool. If you don't play it. At least it's cheaper to invest your time into if you do. So ultimately, sorry, I ended on a darker note. ultimately, I think this is the reason why I think that that WoW has kind of continued along this trend, in that it does this seasonal content because it brings people in, it brings new players in, but it doesn't retain players. I think a lot of us who are now in careers, I know the age group of my viewers nowadays. We all know what retainability is, and we all know what turnaround is. Sometimes you get a lot of new players, like when you get in a lot of new people and new faces into a place or a workplace, it's like, wow, it must be like really busy. And then after you've worked there a bit, you're like, oh, it's because they can't hold on to anybody, because they don't have anything to retain players. So I think that's the biggest issue in WoW right now, is that retainability. But of course, let me know in the comments, what do you think is the biggest reason why OSRS is just screaming at players, especially WoW players, to just jump ship? Of course, if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe to the page while you're at it. And of course, as per always, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.